Good morning, everybody. Trevor the Aviator here, where today I am currently out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, coming back from a little cruise that I have been on for the last week. But anyways, though, today I am going to be giving you guys another trip report where later today, I am going to be flying on the American Airlines 737-800 from Orlando to Chicago O'Hare. This is my first time on the 800s of American, but I have been on United. So, very excited for this opportunity, even though I've been on a 737 multiple times. But hey, it's also another airline as well. So anyways, I am going to get ready to get off this ship, and I'll see you guys when I am headed towards the airport. Okay, so we just ended up arriving here at MCO, and we're a little bit early for check-in. So in the meantime, we are going to be doing some shopping around, since there are a lot of shops here before security, before getting ourselves checked in and getting our way through security. As I entered the Orlando International Airport, it felt like that was pretty busy, since there were a lot of people that were getting ready to fly out on this Sunday because it is the end of the weekend. But I will say though, in this area that we were at before security, there was quite a bit that was going on, and this was where a lot of the people were hanging out, because at Orlando is quite a bit different than all the other airports, where a lot of the shops and restaurants are actually in the center of the airport before you pass through a security checkpoint. Thing is, after you pass it, it just is very cramped and very crowded. But I kind of find this airport in general too is pretty crowded. It feels like there's too many people in like a small space around. That's probably just me though. Okay, so now we are through security, and now things are starting to become a lot easier. Pretty busy though today at Orlando, so now we're going to get headed to our gate and get ready to wait for our flight. In terms of being in the Orlando International Airport, while the airport is really busy, I will say I was not really the biggest fan of being inside of the airport, because it felt like the place was very cramped in terms of the people that were around. There were too many people, I feel, in a small area of space. And with that happening, I was bumping into quite a few people as I was going around. But as far as the plane spotting goes, here at Orlando International Airport, they end up having a lot of smaller planes, mainly because there are a lot of Spirit Airlines planes, Southwest, JetBlue, and you also get some American, Delta, United, and a lot of Frontier planes in here as well. There are some wide-body aircraft that fly in here, but it is nowhere as many as if you were to go to some place such as O'Hare or another airport. But after I had some fun doing some plane spotting, sure enough, our plane for this afternoon's flight ended up arriving, where I will be flying on an American Airlines 737-800 and be arriving in the early evening up at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. taking off, we started things off with a big turn to the right towards the Gulf of Mexico. And with this, we also saw a little bit of the surrounding Orlando area as well. Once we started flying over the Gulf of Mexico, we had to go into a little detour that ended up happening because there was a big thunderstorm that ended up happening just off the Florida coast. With seeing one of these storms from in the air, I will say it gives a pretty cool view, even though it can be a little bit stressful for the pilot, but for the passenger though, it can offer a very cool view of the clouds and what ends up occurring up in the air. To be honest, with Florida weather, it feels like almost anything can end up happening, where it might be sunny, but then for like a half hour it may end up raining, and then the weather would be completely fine like 10-15 minutes later. It is just crazy just how much the weather can change in a short period of time here in the area. As far as my seat goes for this afternoon's flight, I actually thought it was a really good seat. Personally, I'd say this was one of the better seats that I have been on, as I have been on a number of flights in the past, and while it's not the greatest seat, it definitely was a pretty good one that I was on. Another thing that I noticed was that I did not investigate much into this, but I noticed the in-flight entertainment actually looked like it was a really good variety in terms of what you can end up streaming. And compared to other airlines that I have flown, it felt like the other ones I've flown did not have as much of a variety as I saw from American. Now, I did not look into it too much because I was more focused on seeing what was outside the window, but it definitely looked like there was quite a variety of options in terms of what was available. And after seeing all of that from the in-flight entertainment, we were still in some stormy areas for a little bit, but once we went above northern Georgia and into Tennessee, it was starting to get less stormy, but it was still pretty cool to see some of the clouds that we were around. And pretty quickly after that was when we began to head our way up into Chicago, in which we will be seeing Lake Michigan here very shortly, and also flying over downtown Chicago for an early evening arrival into Chicago O'Hare. overall, I felt like that I had a pretty good flight, even though the flight to start things off was delayed a half hour in Orlando due to the gates being really busy. But I'm not kidding you, while I am pulling up to the gate here, I literally will have to get off of the airplane and sprint across Chicago O'Hare for me to get on another plane to head back to my actual hometown. So I'm literally at O'Hare for probably not even 15 minutes, as it is final call when this plane ends up pulling into the gate. But aside from that, though, I feel like this afternoon's flight was a pretty good flight that I witnessed. And I will say the seat that I was in was a pretty comfortable one. And also, food and drink were pretty standard. And I will say, of the 737s I've been on, this is one of the better flights that I have experienced. And I definitely would fly on one of these planes for American again at some point. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys have stuck around, thank you very much. And if you guys are interested in watching some more of my content, then go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys in some of my future videos. Until then, this is Trevor the Aviator from Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Bye, everybody!